Yes, guys, welcome to the Huffington Post. I am here with a great man. He's helped me on my journey. It's been literally about...
When's he coming?
Huh?
When's he coming?
He's here, he's in front of me. He's been helping me genuinely the past, I'd say, 3 years. And he's always said things probably subliminally. And it's just like, well, this, that, and the other. And I've just listened to him. And I thought to myself, that's exactly how I'm feeling right now, or that's what I need to be doing right now. And it's really pushed me to work on sales, work on my business, work on employing people, trying to get my time back. A lot of things. This isn't going to be the first time that this man is coming on the podcast. But can you introduce yourself for me?
Pleasure. Thanks, Theo. I'm Grant Stain, and I'm the CEO of Blam.
Mm-hmm.
We help budding entrepreneurs
Mm-hmm.
start a digital marketing agency. Really what I do is help people sell websites to small businesses.
Yeah.
That's the core of what we do.
Okay, cool. I'm going to get into more of the personal use so people know who you are, where you're coming from, and then we'll get into more of the direct questions where I feel like it's going to help the entrepreneurs that are watching and listening. So can you give the audience more of a background of who you are and when you got started in business?
Wow, yeah, it's going back. I'm pretty old now, mate.
No,
So,
you know.
I've been in business 20 years, and the truth is, all I ever wanted to be was a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as they used to be called. Entrepreneur's a relatively new phrase.
Yeah.
I always feel a little bit pretentious when I call myself an entrepreneur. But yeah, being in business is what I always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably from my dad. My dad ran his own business.
Yeah.
And he insisted that I was never going to work for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm from a creative background. I used to be a graphic designer.
Yeah.
So, but it was always in my mind, even when I was at uni, that, I wanted to run my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took me longer than I expected to set up in business. I was actually 29 when I took the plunge, and I remortgaged my house. I handed in my notice, gave my car keys into my nice company car, and took the plunge.
Mm-hmm.
I rented an office space. I actually went into business with a business partner to start with as well. We both did the same thing, and set up my first design agency, which was back in 2001, just right at the beginning of 2001. And it was a digital marketing agency back then.
Yeah.
And
you're thinking ahead.
Do you know what? Yeah, back then digital marketing wasn't even a thing. Do you know what I mean? I'm from before the internet, mate.
Yeah. You were in there, man.
Yeah. So we used to use encyclopedias in the library and all that, So, in fact, here's one for you, Theo. And I'd speak to somebody of your age. I know this might sound strange, but we used to have one computer for email.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
for email.
Yeah. So that when I first set up in business. Yeah. And we had all our Macs, and I used to make the designers and everybody just use one computer for email, because email was distracting as far as I'm concerned. So I had all my designers, and I thought, well, time is money.
Yeah.
I used to sell their time in 6-minute increments. So if they're answering emails, and that, my thinking was that's a distraction.
Yeah, of course.
So it's funny how times change. But yeah, that's my background. I set up back then, and it was interesting because I set up with a business partner, and it didn't really work out. And it was less than a year that we parted company, and I effectively bought him out. We just didn't see eye to eye. So for many years, I was the captain of my own ship for many, many years. I mean, I've had loads of businesses since, and I've had loads of business partners. And so there's quite a lot of, there's a lot of interesting, dynamics about being a business with somebody else. The discussion that you and I have obviously had.
We've had loads of them.
And it's fascinating. But yeah, so I've been doing that ever since, pretty much. I still effectively run a digital marketing agency now. It's just that I help lots of other people run their agency too. And I've got to be honest, I just absolutely love what I do. You know, genuinely love what I do.
That's good.
It's a really inspiring job, because being in business for me is fun.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I'm totally unemployable. You know.
I hear you. I hear you there.
And I think, you know, a lot of the time the reason we have good conversations is because you're like me, in that, you know, you do it for fun. You know?
It's fun. It's exciting.
That's it.
Yeah,
It's what
I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Yeah,
literally.
So if we're sort of, you know, looking to do something in our spare time, you know, much like myself, I'm sure you're the same. You know, if I'm listening to a, you know, motivational business coach like a Grant Cardone, or I'm listening to Tim Ferriss, or, you know, one of the audio books, or watching Russell Brunson, or whoever it might be, for me that is fun.
Yeah,
you know, I enjoy it.
It's fun, educational as well, and it's like, okay, they're at that level, but they're also giving you those gems to be able to say, you know what, I can do this, as well as, oh, I've learned something new there. It's always educational. It's not just I'm just watching a piece of information just to escape. It's less of that. It's more education. It's more education,
feeding your mind, and it gives you ideas, because you know that when you're an entrepreneur, business person.
Entrepreneur, business person. I like that, business person. Because entrepreneur, I do think it's just like, I don't even like calling myself an entrepreneur to a certain degree. I just feel like it's just so overused and that everyone's just using it. It's just like but on the flip side, it's just a word in it. It's just
I don't know whether there's a definition, you know, but I've got a kind of definition in my own head. And I wrote a blog on this a couple of years ago. What's the difference between an entrepreneur and a businessman, or a business person? Because my interpretation is the entrepreneur is the kind of person that's a real risk taker, is somebody who's, you know, full of innovation and ideas, doesn't necessarily always follow through. In my mind, and again, this is my own, you know, definition, so don't look this up in the dictionary. and because I consider myself entrepreneurs, I think entrepreneurs are flawed. They're business people that have got shiny object syndrome. You know, they're easily distracted. You know, but they're risk takers, and sometimes they get lucky and end up with a business that's actually profitable.
I hear.
Whereas most entrepreneurs, they don't.
Yeah.
You know, and whereas a business person, and that's what I aspire to be. I'm probably not one yet, if I'm honest. I'll come back to me in 10 years. Is somebody who can take a business and grow it with a steady perseverance, that doesn't get distracted. And that, I think, is a challenge for entrepreneurs.
I don't think that for you, you know, because you are sticking with the same thing. You're just adding more things to your thing. In reality, I just feel like you add more and more and more, but sometimes, obviously, you scale it back whenever you need to be. You're a business person. I have to rein myself in.
My natural instinct is to do everything all at once, like a maniac.
I hear. I'm
but I have to think to myself, right? If I want to run a business, if I want to scale a business, I've got to think like a business person.
Yeah.
And I've got to take the advice from the accountants, as well as my, you know, devil on my shoulder going, do it all now. Yeah. Don't bother sleeping. That's for wimps. Let's just do everything. And you know, learning to delegate and learning to be strategic. You know, all of these things are, I think, challenging for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And so that's my sort of take on that definition.
Yeah.
I'm an aspiring businessman, but I'm definitely an entrepreneur.
Quality. We're definitely going to get into like, obviously, learning how to scale and learning to be more of a businessman and be more strategical. But I just want to take a step back, and I just want to know more about, why did you take that step into business? Because obviously you told us, like, your dad says, like, you ain't working for me, but you just set your own thing up. Or is it, what was that What was that fire? What was that reason why you wanted to set up your own thing?
Do you know, it's a really good question. I honestly don't know the answer to that, because I can't ever remember not wanting to run my own business.
Okay.
So I think I look at kids these days, especially if I'm sort of, helping young people that are thinking about their careers, which I do a little bit of. And then I look at my own kids as well in the same way, and that I never had any question about what I wanted to do. Right from the age of 6, 7, I knew I wanted to be a graphic designer. Back then. I designed my first logo that was used commercially at the age of 7.
Yeah, quality.
Proud of that one. And I never wanted to do anything else. So my decision-making process when I was at school, college, university, just went absolutely according to plan. The only thing that went wrong was that when my sort of goal in my head then was finish university, spend 2 or 3 years working, and then get that experience, and then start my own business. And I didn't do that. It took me longer because the business that I worked for, the sort of second business that I ended up working for, it went really well, and I got kind of promoted and got given the opportunity to become a director at that business, and effectively I had the opportunity to be a business owner, but with other people. But that seemed nice at the time, but I realised I needed to do it on my own. So I never had any other ambition other than to run a business in the design, in the creative industry. Back before anybody had heard of the internet.
You've always seemed like, from an inspirational point as well, probably because your father's always had his own business. He was like, you know what, that's a direction that I'm going into, because you've always just seen that.
I guess so, yeah. But then again, having said that, I know that there are this is the whole thing about nature and nurture. We get quite deep here, Theo.
Yeah, that's right. We're here to get
nature, nurture. There's a certain influence from both sides of that. So that there are examples of people who had, come from a background where their family influence was nothing to do with being a business or entrepreneurial, and they ended up being, really entrepreneurial, and vice versa. So the whole thing about, your environment and how that influences you versus your nature. I can't imagine. I know that my dad's influence was a strong one, but he certainly didn't encourage me to run my own business.
Okay.
Because he didn't particularly enjoy his work.
Okay.
And that's why he didn't want me to go into the family business, because he hated it, and he didn't like getting up in the morning. And it's amazing that he was so successful because he didn't enjoy what he did.
Yeah.
And so if anything, it could have put me off it. So I don't know. It's something for the psychologists to.
That's deep. That's deep.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, my wife's a therapist, so I've had this conversation with her loads, because she deals with all sorts of different people with, all sorts of different issues, and she works with children, and you'll see that there are some children she works with that are deeply, troubled, and yet their family environment's lovely, and vice versa.
True.
So, the whole thing about nature and nurture is a fascinating subject, and I don't think we've got our heads around it as a species.
Yeah. Okay. So like, I know that you obviously you got the Bland partnership, so you have your element of nurturing those partners when they come on board. What does that look like, and how is that you begin to nurture the partners and your team at Blam, and what does that look like? How, what type of skills do you need to develop to help those people?
So there's a big difference between the way that we deal with a Blam partner that comes on board versus the team.
Okay.
Because the Blam partner, anybody that joins us as a Blam partner, they've been, first of all, they've been looking to start their own business. They've been doing their research. They've narrowed it down to wanting to run a digital marketing agency,
Yeah.
and they've decided Blam are the people that want to help them do that.
Yeah.
All of the partners that join us
Mm-hmm.
will have gone through a very thorough due diligence in order to determine whether they want to work with us or somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, a lot of the people that join us, they're not just looking at digital marketing opportunities, they're looking at lots of different opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be thinking, and they'll be looking at franchises because they want a proven model.
Mm-hmm.
And quite often it's because they want the fast track to success rather than having to figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
Because
That
we've
makes
got,
sense.
I've been doing this for 20 years, and even though, what we do right now is embedded in the technology that we use, a lot of the principles are still the same,
Mm-hmm. Of course.
It's weird, actually, the way that in our business, more and more of what we do is becoming even more people-focused, because I think people are almost nervous or they reject the technology to a certain extent in our business, because we're dealing with small business owners who are trusting us with one of the most important parts of their business, which is their website and their digital marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fuel that drives their business.
Yeah.
If you don't get that right, if you put it in the hands of somebody who's not competent, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Not in what they pay the developer, it's what they leave on the table.
Yeah.
Because more than anybody the potential that a marketing strategy can actually deliver.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really important thing that we're dealing with, and our partners first and foremost need to understand that their job is to help small businesses in the same way we do.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that whole sort of nurture process with a partner, we're all in the same place, in that our job is to help small businesses.
Yeah.
So I help Blam Partners, who are a small business.
Mm-hmm.
I help somebody who's looking to have guidance to create a digital marketing agency to achieve that goal, in the same way that their goal is to help other small businesses achieve success.
Yeah.
So my whole world is about helping people, small businesses, be successful online.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a partner, or whether it's a partner's customer, or whether it's a direct customer of ours, which we still have direct customers, and so that whole thing for me just is perfect, because it's all about entrepreneurial success.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
In the digital space. So for me, that's awesome. So going back to your question, first and foremost, we need to help our partners understand that that's their job, is to help small business owners, first and foremost.
That's the 100%. I think a lot of people get distracted and think, it's the money. But like, if you do a great job helping the people, the money will come.
Yeah.
And it sounds cliche, and it sounds like, you've heard it a trillion times, but that's actually the reality.
100%.
Yeah, and it's good that, like you said, you're just saying it yourself. You that's what you make sure that everyone in your company, as well as the partners, know that you're here to help the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got several core values within the business, but one of the key ones is help businesses, help partners, help each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of our core values. And all the staff and all the partners are familiar with the core values. Mm-hmm. And that one in particular is really, really poignant, because it's the sort of three tiers of our business. Mm-hmm. Help businesses. Every partner is their own business, and the partner's customers are a business. We've got to help them. Mm-hmm. We've got to help each other. We've got to help partners, and help is where it's at. And like you say, it's a cliche, but the money side of it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy if you believe in what you do, because we're kind of like a franchise. We're not actually a franchise because we're not territory based, and all our partners get their own brand. But it's a lot like a franchise in a lot of different ways, because we've basically got a proven model. Yeah. It's not very complicated. We sell websites to small businesses. We've got a process that we follow, and it's simple. But of course, that doesn't mean it's easy.
Yeah, of course.
you know, and I say that to partners all the time when they join. It doesn't matter what business you go into, whether you're buying a McDonald's franchise or whether you starting your own business from scratch, regardless. And you and I know this, we've talked about this loads.
100%.
If you do not work like a maniac, you know, why bother?
Literally, you have to put your heart and soul
Yeah.
into it. And if you're not, then you may as well just stop there and just choose something else.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to go and get rich quick, you know, buy a lottery ticket, you know, or go and listen to one of your, I'm going to make millions selling widgets on Amazon, you know, it's all a load of rubbish.
Yep.
You know, every single one of these get rich quick guys, if it's for real, and obviously there's a lot of fake ones out there, it's been years in the making.
Yeah.
And it's all about how you apply yourself. I really do believe that. And I say to a lot of people that you know are looking to start their own business, you've got to go with what you are passionate about. Because if you cannot be passionate about what you do, every day is going to feel like walking through treacle. You know, to be successful, it's just, it can feel like that when you are passionate about it. So you've got to, because your passion, what gets you through the dark times.
Definitely, 100%.
Because in business, there will be highs and lows. It's not all a straight line to success. It's up and down, if you're lucky enough to get there.
Okay. So, you know, with structures, so obviously there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are probably watching this or listening to this, that they're either just starting up and obviously they've gained a bit of information from you about nurturing their team when they get their person on board, or even like just the mindset things, like making sure you got good values for your business and who comes into your business. Because the conversation that I just had with Edward is literally the both of you guys are singing off the same hymn sheet. It's just about making sure you got good values, that you're passionate and you love what you do, and it's all about helping people. Because if you're not doing that, then you're looking at that get rich mentality, which doesn't get you anywhere. Because a lot of people see that and it's just like, I don't want to be a part of that, but they want to see that that they're getting help. That's it. At the end of the day, everyone's got a problem and there needs to be solutions. And but what I want to know more from you is, because you've been in the game 20 years plus, what type of advice would you give to an entrepreneur that is looking at getting outsourcing or having someone on board into their company?
So in terms of staffing, yeah. So I always say this bit might not be particularly PC. I'll warn you, because I've got a very strong opinion on the way I like to have staff be in the business, and it's almost like indoctrination. I always say I don't want staff, I want disciples. Yeah, you know, I want a cult. I don't want a business where every member of staff is so on board and fully believes in the purpose of the business. Yeah, that, you know, nothing is too much trouble. You know, that they just get it. You know, finding staff like that is hard. Right, it's not easy. You don't just, you know, interview a person and get lucky. And I also believe, you know, I've employed loads of people over the years. It's really difficult knowing whether somebody's going to be that, you know, that person until you've worked with them for a bit. Some people can do a great interview and then they come to work, they turn up and they're not the person you thought they were. There's always a honeymoon period. So, you know, show me the person that after 3 months is still working as hard and as well, if not better, when the honeymoon period is over. If they've got the same belief of you as the leader, if they know that they're doing a good thing by helping people, human nature, you know, for me means that they're going to be the most productive and they're going to care. It's really important for me to know that the staff care, and it's really important that we let our customers and our partners know how much we care. Really, really important, because if my staff don't care, or if anybody appears not to be on board with that, they are gone.
Yeah.
No question. I do not want them anywhere near my business, because we all have to be absolutely on the same page, on an absolute mission to achieve the one thing that we're trying to achieve. And even then, we know that is going to be difficult and hard, because building a business is tough.
Yeah.
But when you look, when you study success and you look at the businesses that are super successful, they are driven hard, and I'm been blessed with my team. They are awesome, awesome team. But there's been people that didn't make the cut,
Yeah.
who interviewed well, but then didn't get there.
Yeah.
And that's no, reflection on them personally. It's just they didn't believe in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because I know if they did, and they're good people, they'll give it their all.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's about having that cause, and that's why we have our core values.
Yeah.
We've got our mission, and we know what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah. And like when you just said the core values and knowing where you're going, these are things that you need to have at the beginning of like your journey. I know that we as entrepreneurs, we just jump in and we just make things happen, but it's good to have it written down, put it on the wall, have it in your diary, so you know that every single time that that's what the level of your energy is going at, and every single person that is a part of your company needs to feel that way and needs to be doing that exact same thing as well. Otherwise you're doing a distant, just you're being unjust to yourself and to others. Cool. So the next thing is leadership. I see you as a leader, 110%. Like you, I just do, because I always see you leading other people, and it's never a straight. It's always on a positive, and it's always trying to get the better out of other people. So, in terms of leadership, like, how did you grow into that leadership role? Because I've been to that point where, obviously, getting staff on board and trying to learn more about leadership, where I was just like a one man, just go. But then when you go to leadership, it's like it's a different ball game, and I've become to understand that when you become a leader and you become more of when you become a leader, you're either putting out fires or you're helping people and you're nurturing people, and yet you still got to do your other things as well. Like, how did you build up that leadership role? Because I don't think it's just it's something that you learn on the go.
I don't think I've always been a great leader, if I'm honest, or rather, I don't know. It depends on the definition of leader. I've always known my own mind, and very sort of forthright in expressing it and helping. But I think that sensitivity is something that I've definitely had to improve on in terms of my leadership skills, because when you're driven and you're on a mission, it's sometimes I have been known to be somewhat insensitive to other people's feelings. Yeah,
I get you there.
I still like that to a certain extent, but maybe I've in my latter years of perhaps managed to empathise a bit more. Empathy, I think, is a key. Yeah. To trying to understand other people's position. But you know what? Sometimes you're on too much of a mission to be too, to be too sensitive. Yeah. Because you just need to get stuff done. So, to one extent, I don't necessarily make that many apologies for that. But I think the one thing is that you've just got to make sure that you are fair. I think fairness is absolutely key. I was going to say reasonable, but I don't always like being that reasonable. I do actually like being quite unreasonable in the things that I ask for people, because that's what gets results, It's a level of pushing
people.
Yeah. You know, I mean, one of my mentors always says to me that no company is ever running at 100% maximum capacity. You know, and you know, he's got some ideas about how that works that, you know, he thinks you just got to keep pushing your staff to get the maximum out of them. You know, I like to think that there's a balance. Maybe that's why I haven't been more successful in life, because maybe I'm a bit too soft.
But then you just say you're soft and then you're not soft. So it's,
I don't know.
It might be a good you got a good balance, I feel like.
Yeah, well, you know.
I do make sure, like, you obviously, the way that you have targets, it's like them targets are there to be hit.
Every staff's got numbers.
But it's always pushing you to get to that next level. And it's not, you've done it with me. It's like, if those are your numbers, hit those numbers. And I'm just like, cool. But that's good, like, because for me, it's like I've got a goal to hit, so that's a positive. Well, if you don't love it, then obviously you're gonna feel differently to the goal set or how someone's spoken to you, because you've never been told to hit a goal, even though it's gonna benefit you as an individual. You should always want to be doing more. So if you love it anyway, so.
The thing you got to remember is you're an entrepreneur, so you're gonna love that.
Yeah.
With staff, by definition, they're not necessarily entrepreneurs. Now, I like to think that a lot of my staff have got entrepreneurial traits, but because of the environment they work in, that part of them is satisfied because of the way that we work. Yeah. And I like to reward my staff, you know, like it's their own business, you know, in terms of profit share. And I like to also help them understand that we all share in the success as well as, you know, the lack of success. The rewards are there, so that, you know, I love the idea that the staff that work for me can achieve what they want to achieve in life from a financial point of view by being part of the BLAM team, because of the opportunity. It's not just a job, you know? And the interesting thing about staff, coming back to leadership, is how you can't judge your staff by your own measure, you know, because we're different. The reason we put ourselves out there and run a business and take all the risks is because we're different. Whereas when you've got staff, a lot of staff are by definition not entrepreneurial. So I try to give that little bit of a balance, because I think, you know, I talk about the environment of my business of being all about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial learning, and therefore it's really important that at the very least my staff get that, you know, and have got a certain element of that themselves, you know. So contrary to what a lot of people talk about, I actually like the idea that my staff have got little side gigs going on, and I encourage that, because it shows that bit of entrepreneurial spirit, you know. And I've had members of staff that have ended up leaving to go and do that as their full-time job, and, you know, congratulated them, because ultimately I'd be a complete hypocrite if I didn't encourage that, you know. And there's a balance, you know, and so I like the idea of having that element to the business, to the staff, and I think it's I like to think that helps the whole ecosystem.
One more question for you, and I think it's a very important one, and I know that you're going to give the viewers and the listeners great value behind it. It's more like, what advice, basically, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs, business people?
Which one?
Entrepreneurs. I think it's the same thing, but I just like business person. Like, entrepreneurs just like way overused. But like to entrepreneurs, some advice on getting more sales for their business. What advice would you give them?
So I suppose it depends on the business. So, you know, if it's there's several different ways in depending on the business. You might be a business to business, so you might be reaching out to the businesses. You might be B2C, going after consumers. It might be that you've got online. You need to and so each one of those is a different answer. In our world, for Bland Partners, we go after we reach out to small business owners to help them. And we've got a formula that we use for that sales. But as you just alluded to, because you're in that space too, we very much have a sales process that is defined. So first thing I would say about anything to do with, doesn't matter what business you're in, have a sales process. Know that if you are in business, you are in sales. So I do a little exercise with people where I ask them to imagine, what do they think of when I say the word salesperson? What images come to mind?
A godly person.
Correct answer. Yeah.
Someone that's going to help you. That's my perspective anyway. But
so often you get negativity. You'll get slimy, pushy, dishonest, all of that sort of stuff. And that unconscious thought that comes into people's mind hinders them from being a salesman. It's hindered me for years. You have to realise that if you're in business, you're in sales. Get a process, embrace it. It's years ago I used to employ salespeople, and I used to not consider myself salespeople. I used to pay them more than me, because a salesperson, that's where it all starts. If you're not making sales, you have not got a business. You've got a charity. You've got a hobby. You've not got a business. So embrace being a salesperson. Study it. Get a system. And whether that's online, face-to-face, whatever it might be, get a system. It doesn't even matter what the system is, as long as you've got one. Because the one thing I'm sure Ed's just said exactly the same thing to you. You can learn to do sales. You can learn it. Don't anybody tell me, I wasn't born a salesman, I haven't got the gift of the bag, I've got no... No, if you want to be in business, you will learn and you can do it. It's just a process like learning anything else, and you've just got to put yourself outside your comfort zone and get on with it. If you don't, then your chances of business success have just been diminished a hell of a lot, a hell of a lot. And it took me about 10 years to figure that one out, Theo. About 10 years to figure that one out. My business plateaued.
I met you, and then it clicked for me genuinely when you did the seminar, and I was just like, he's fucking right. He's fucking right. At the moment, I'm getting work in, which is good, but if I wrap this up and I get my whole process and I know who I'm going for, and I'm getting on the phone and I'm sending out them emails, I'm going to make more money, obviously, but I just need to make sure I'm consistent and I've got my formula. But literally, I mean, I feel so passionately about this particular subject because I have it validated to me every day. So I've had 2 phone calls today, mentoring sessions with partners who have validated everything that I've just said. And in fact, there's 3 partners that I can think about who I did an interview with one last Wednesday, and I've had 2 conversations this morning that have applied the process in Blam and have said, "Blimey, now this is hard work. I've done this for 2 or 3 weeks and I'm not getting any results. This system must not work." And I'm saying, don't question it. Follow the process. Don't think about it. Just do it. And they're like going, okay. And then magically, all of a sudden, they get a windfall. They get a dump of business land on them. I'm sure a similar thing happened to you. And 100%. It does tend to come all at once. It's like, because the weight of the work that you've done will weigh down, and you will start getting people reach out to you. Because when they need that, whatever it is you're selling, they'll think of you because you're the one that's in their face. And 100%. That's, I see it every week, the evidence of doing that. You say to me, as well as what Edward says, if you're not doing sales, you're doing marketing. If you're doing marketing, you're doing sales. It's just... That's it. That's it.
And the systems and processes have to be behind that to ensure, and you know, it's because of what you've just said, sales market. It's what Ed and I love. That's what we live for. Yeah. You know, for the last sort of month, I've been working heavily on our systems and processes within the business. Drives me nuts. Honestly, it's so frustrating because I just want it done. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, get it done. You know, because I want to be focused on driving this business forward. But ultimately, your systems and processes are going to be the things that handle all that work, which is the other side of the coin that I deal with our Bland partners, because first and foremost, we teach them how to get the business in, and then we show them how they manage it thereafter. Because that's the other thing you got to think about in business. You've got to keep your customers happy, and it's getting customers and keeping customers.
Definitely.
And those two things are vitally important.
And a lot of people don't look at keeping the customer, they just think about getting the customer. Yeah. But yeah, you're completely correct. Yes, Grant, honestly, you've been an amazing mentor to me. And I just want to give you this time now to just make it fly in terms of like what you're doing, how people can get in touch with you, but then also the Bland partnership and anything that you've got going on that you want the people to know about.
Awesome. Cool. Appreciate that, mate. Well, I suppose my main job, what I do really, is I help people start their own business. Yeah. And that usually means it's a Bland partnership. And I spend 80% of my time helping Bland partners grow their business. And for some of them that can be challenging, you know, and I make no bones about that, because some people aren't used to actually following the instructions, working on their own, and all of the things that come with it. But I've got to say, I find it hugely rewarding helping them and working with them, because ultimately, you know, when you're helping somebody, and the gratitude that you get from it selfishly is, you know, it's payment in itself. I also want to use that method to conquer the world with digital marketing. You know, that's my big audacious goal. Yeah. And the reason that I recruit partners is because in order for me to grow my business and reach the big audacious goals that I've set, I need an army of salespeople and account managers that can help these small businesses. Yeah. And at the crux of it, what drives me is that the product that we've got, which is fundamentally the Bland websites, which are artificially intelligent websites that are absolutely perfect for small businesses.
I don't want you to hold back as well, because there's other things that I want you to push what you do, because you're just saying the websites, but in reality there is a lot with
there's loads more. There's loads more, but it starts with the website.
Yeah,
and that because the website is so powerful and so cool and ticks all the boxes. I mean, you know, this podcast goes out to people that are starting, you know, looking to become entrepreneurs, or maybe they're in business already, budding entrepreneurs. That's the audience, you know, I serve. Every single one of those needs a Bland website. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it's the perfect tool for them to grow their business.
If you haven't got a website, you got problems.
If you haven't got a Bland website, you've got problems. You know, and because I've been in the space for so long, I feel passionately that every time somebody gets a Bland website, I've done a good thing. Yeah. So in order to fulfill that, you know, prophecy, or fulfill that goal of getting businesses all over the world, small businesses all over the world, aspiring to wanting a Bland website, I need partners. I need other entrepreneurs that think like we do, that have got a passion for growing their business, that want to help small businesses, that believe that the Bland website's the thing that small businesses need. I need as many of those partners as possible. But I need to be able to show them exactly how they can run their business, sell the websites. Because when you've got a small business website, you build trust, and you can show them other things that they can do with their marketing. Because once you've got control of the website, all roads lead to a website. You know, if you do a marketing campaign for somebody,
it goes to a website.
It goes to the website. You know,
if you haven't got a website, you got problems.
It's it. If you do social media, if you're doing, you know, email marketing, or even if you've got a business card, it's all got the website on it. Yeah. It all starts with the website. So the partnership program for me is a means to an end. It's a way of building a tribe of people that are all on, we call it the Blam family. We're all on the same page. They're all entrepreneurial. They all love the same stuff we love. You know, every time I go live on Facebook every day to them, and when I'm talking to my tribe, we're all on the same page. And I just want to grow that, you know, on the foundation of this belief that we know small businesses bloody need help right now. They need help with their marketing. It starts with a website. We've got loads of other products. It starts with a website. So that's my, you know, my driver, and that's why I know I can, because at the heart of it, mate, I'm not necessarily a bloody a capitalist. I'm really not.
No.
Really, yeah. I just feel like capitalism is the thing that's, you know, available to us right now to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
And it might sound like an odd thing, but you'll be surprised how many entrepreneurs you speak to that agree with me on this. You know, it's not all about the money for me.
It's not all
it's
about
really
the money.
not. The money is the means to the end.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd probably be a lot richer if it was. But it's who I am, you know? And the money is a means to end. You've got to have money in order to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I want to be super successful, super wealthy. But ultimately that's not, you know, if it was all about the money, I wouldn't be doing this job. You know, I'd be in property or something like that, you know, like my old man was. But that doesn't interest me in the slightest, you know, unless I'm helping the market.
So how can people get in touch with you, find you on socials, website, all of that stuff?
Right, Grantstain.com or Grantstain.com online, Grantstain.com on Instagram is my personal profile. Blam.online is the website. Anybody that's interested in the partnership program, blampartners.com. But yeah, reach out to me on those channels. Love to hear from you. Love to speak with entrepreneurs.
Cool. So that is it from Huffington Post and from Grant Stain. Grant Stain, it has been amazing working with you, listening to you, speaking to you, having you on the podcast. Genuinely, you brought massive value to myself personally and also my business. I'm so glad to actually have you on the podcast.
My pleasure, mate. You're a legend.
Literally, I was just like, you was just on the list off the top, straight away off the top of my list. I was like, yeah, Grant Stain, and then I just thought, let's get this going. So guys, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. If you found any part of this valuable, share it with friends. Rewind it, watch it back, because the more you listen to it, you'll probably get more information from it. And down in the comments below, leave a question and I'll get back to you, or Grant will get back to you. It's just our way of communicating with you. And definitely go to the website. You know who I am. Go to the website, check this, all the resources that are going to be there, and any links that Grant has, I'll be putting them in the description so you can go and check them out as well. Take care, and I'll see you on the next podcast.